Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm that cool black girl. Today we are talking about habits, good ones and bad ones. So grab a drink, get comfortable, subscribe to my channel, and let's chat. So, as you have read in the title, we're talking about good habits and bad habits. Maybe you want to start eating healthier, maybe you want to learn a new language, maybe you'd like to be more present for your family, your friends, your partner, or maybe you're just tired of the bad habits you have built into your daily life. In either way, whether you try to get rid of bad habits or try to implement better and good habits, you will need to look at both aspects, and concentrating just on one does not necessarily eliminate the other. So just as you can be accumulating good habits, you might still be having a few bad habits that don't make it easier to keep up with the good habits. So the first part of this video, we're gonna talk about how I came to start to think about how to get rid of my bad habits and how you can apply that to your life, and also what I did, what I started doing, which wasn't so great when it comes to habits and which was more frustrating, and maybe which you can avoid doing. So, as you guys know, we are going through a pandemic globally, and so in the first months of the pandemic, I thought to myself, okay, great, now that shit has hit the fan, you can take the time to actually reset your brain, which is a video that I've already filmed. You can see it here. I will link it here. And so the first thing I did was endless to-do lists, all the things I wanted to do, all the things I needed to get done, because I had a lot of free time on my hands. And along the way, looking for sources, researching for ways to just be more productive, to arrange my daily routine in a way that keeps me busy but also entertained and gives me the feeling that I'm actually going somewhere amidst the chaos that was coming. I watched a video, I think, by Rowena Tsai, who I really love and I totally recommend. I'm also going to link her channel in the description box, as well as probably link it somewhere up here or down here. She talked about the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, which I ended up ordering and reading in less than a week because it was that good. Atomic Habits is a simple, straight to the point help for adulting. If you need to get your ish together and you don't know where to start, I can highly recommend ordering the book or going to your closest bookstore or library. If you have a good library, they might just have the book. Otherwise, you'll have to go to the bookstore, or you can also order it online and get your example of the book. Because if you really don't know where to start, this is, I think, one of the easiest ways. Of all the self-improvement and self-help books that I have read out there, I wish I would have started with Atomic Habits. So before we dive into the 4 principles of the book, which helped me to really quickly form, or at least make a short list of the habits that I wanted to implement in my life and which habits I wanted to get rid of, I would like to get into how I tried to form good or better habits before or prior to reading the book. So number 1, I used to only focus on the good habits I wanted to form, so completely ignoring the bad habits. A simple example of that is, I would say I want to get fitter, so I'm gonna train 3 times per week for 20 minutes, but I would, for example, ignore that I would snack a little bit too much, or that I would be eating foods that were not exactly helpful to getting fitter. So focusing only on the good habits, but not assessing the bad habits I had, what made me not reach my goals and made it more difficult to keep up with the good habits because I couldn't see the results I needed to see to actually want to progress. Which is also number 2, because number 2 was not to focus at all on the bad habits. So not at all being conscious of the bad habits or the not helpful habits I had also wasn't very good, in the sense that if you don't know what your bad habits are, you can't deal with them, you can't eliminate them. So not focusing at all on the bad habits is also a mistake. Having a global picture of who you are as a person is actually very helpful to forming better habits. Number 3 was making super long to-do lists full of all the habits I wanted to form, all the things I wanted to get done. And obviously when you do that, you can get a little bit overwhelmed because it can be a lot, and depending on where you stand in life or what phase you are, there might be quite a few habits you want to implement. So making extra long lists is not always the best idea. Number 4 was be motivated for a few days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, maybe even a week, maybe 2 weeks if I was good, and then letting life get into the way of those plans I made and scooting off track completely. So that was super frustrating because I would be like, yay, I got it. I managed to, train. Let's stay to the training part. I managed to train 3 times a week for 1 week. This is going good. And then the next week I'd have an appointment or something, or I'd be sick, or it could be anything, and bam, back to the old habits, no training anymore and completely off track. And then the cycle starts again. And number 5, and the last one, is one which I have left in the past, but it did follow me for quite some time, being thinking about all the possible good habits that I could be having, all the possible good things that I could be doing, and never starting. Number 5 is probably not the worst, but kind of a shitty one, because you stay in the realm of what if I, and what if I's are actually the worst scenarios to have. What if I would read more? What if I would learn a new language? What if I would travel more? What if I would save my money? So the what ifs are the worst, in my opinion, over these 5 mistakes I made. And now we're gonna talk about the 4 principles, I'm gonna call them, that James Clear uses to structure his book, which are also the 4 principles I apply, and which he encourages his readers to apply to their forming habits journey. The 4 principles are: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Easy, right? I'm going to use an example. Say you'd like to read more. Say you've got a basis of 0 books in a year, and you wanted to you would like to take it to a few books in a year. I think what most people do is just grab a book and try to stick to it, and it doesn't work. If we take these 4 principles, let's start with make it obvious. Where are your books? Where is the book you want to read? Is it a hypothetical book that you don't have at home, or is it a book you actually own already? Make it obvious. Making it obvious could, for example, mean you're going to put it on your nightstand because you prefer to read in the evening, or you're going to put it on your coffee table because you sit on the couch a lot and you'll see it, or you sit on the toilet for a long time, so you're going to have that book in the bathroom or in the toilet room, you know what I mean. That's making it obvious. Put the book where you can see it so that you cannot ignore it. Making it attractive. Maybe pick a book you like. Let's start with that. You should probably, if we keep it stay to the book example, pick a book you actually want to read. So something that's exciting, something that's fun. Making it attractive also maybe means give it a setting. Like if you're gonna read, let's say if your book is on your nightstand, maybe you want to light a candle, or maybe you want to play some relaxing music. Maybe if it's on your coffee table, you want to actually drink a cup of coffee or tea whilst reading your book. Maybe you want just to make a pillow fortress castle, or just arrange the pillows nicely so that you can actually feel comfortable whilst you read. Well, if you're gonna read on the toilet, I have no help for you apart of lock the door. That's the only... And maybe tell everyone that you're gonna be on the toilet for a while. I don't know. That's the best tip I have. I don't know how you can make reading on the toilet more nicer. Maybe you can let me know in the comments if you're a toilet reader. I used to be, but I am not anymore. The next principle was make it easy. I would, if we talk about books, not recommend you start with Dostoevsky or any super complicated Russian author, for example, but rather to pick a book that is easy to read. Maybe also pick times in your day where it is actually easy to find time to read, where you are alone, rather than times where your partner or your family is around. This might also change in your week, so you'll have to take that in consideration, but definitely try to make it as easy as possible to read. And the last one is make it satisfying. That's the last principle. Make it satisfying. Give yourself a reward for having read. So if your other habits allowed, for example, eat some chocolate or whatever you'd like to eat whilst reading or after reading. Maybe give yourself a special reward. For instance, if you have to read and you don't actually enjoy the book, because maybe you need to read because you have to, if it's an assignment for school, or you have to learn something new for your job. So maybe the book isn't that enjoyable, but you can make the experience enjoyable. So you could, for example, say, okay, I'm gonna read every day for 10 minutes in the morning before I go to work, and after reading I will eat a croissant. That's really random, but you get the point, I guess. Give yourself a nice reward for having actually read the book, because it's gonna be more fun. I don't want to go exactly into depth into what James Clear says about these things, because I actually really want everybody to read this book. I might make a second video though where I do go into these principles a little bit more and try to give some more examples to how you can apply those to the different habits, taking myself as an example. But in this video, I just want to briefly touch to how you could pretty easily build in some good habits. When it comes to the bad habits, you actually need to do exactly the contrary of these 4 principles. So make it not so obvious. If you have chips sitting on the table every time you get home, you are probably gonna eat them. So if you're trying to get on a diet, maybe you want to move those chips to a cupboard. If the cupboard is not enough, maybe you want to put them on the highest cupboard you have, or maybe you want to stop buying chips completely. Make it unattractive. Making it unattractive, maybe you, if you do still buy crisps, maybe you will, or chips, you might want to buy chips that you don't like, so a flavor that you really don't like. So you would have them and you've hidden them, but maybe you will go to the cupboard and grab them out, but you really don't like that taste, so it's not so fun. The third principle was make it easy. So we're gonna make this bad habit difficult to actually do. I don't know if I want to stay with the chips example. Let's take alcohol. If for some reason you want to stop drinking alcohol, make it more difficult to drink alcohol. Don't have it in the house. If you have to actually get up from your place, go somewhere, and somewhere should be as far as possible from your place to get alcohol, you're probably not gonna drink alcohol longer periods of time, because it's just a hassle to actually get there. And the last principle was make it satisfying. So you need to make this habit unsatisfying, so no reward. And to take this a step further, so a form of not punishment, but sort of a punishment. So let's say if you did eat chips, you might want to say, then I'm gonna do 20 push-ups after eating the chips, every time I eat the chips. So at some point you will probably stop eating chips because your muscles are sore. If it's alcohol, you could decide to, what could be you know what, guys, let me know, help me out, let me know in the comments, what would you like to implement to make a habit unsatisfying to keep up on doing? Because I don't have an example, didn't think about this one. I'm still working on that part for myself. To finish up, I would like to point out a few things which are talked about in the book, but which I had been thinking and trying to do by myself before I read the book. Which is, for example, it's good to want to form new good or better habits than the ones you have. It is great to want to get rid of bad habits you have, but maybe the first thing you should start with is why you want to. You should know why you want to change. It's probably more important than most people think, because if you want to learn, for example, a new language just for the sake of learning a new language, it will probably be a little bit more difficult for you to stay focused and disciplined and pull through than if, for instance, you have an exam coming up in a few months, or your parents are moving to another country where they speak that target language, or maybe your partner speaks that language and you just want to understand them better. So knowing why you want to change something is probably going to be your best motivation to actually implement those changes. The other aspect I wanted to point out is that these changes are probably also going to change your mindset and the way you view the world. So I don't know, get excited about having a new and different perspective on yourself, on your environment, close and far, and also on the world around you. What is the title of the book, Atomic Habits, says it itself. Make tiny changes. Don't go from I want to complete. You can, of course, there are people who can do this, but it's probably simpler to say I would like to try and eat healthier than to say I would like to have the diet of a marathon runner from today to tomorrow. So maybe think about it, make tiny steps, and be nice to yourself about it. Every time you make a tiny step in the right direction, be proud of yourself, you did it. And the final aspect which I really enjoyed from the book was the habit stacking tip, which is simply adding habits at perfect times to habits that one already has, which I'll probably talk about in another video more in depth, because this is the one I enjoy the most of all the tips. Okay guys, you've made it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really hope this helps you. I hope you can take something for yourself, and I hope I get you to read this book or to listen to an audio of it. Let me know in the comments what your takeaway is from this video. Have you read the book? Can you recommend it? You can also tell me on Instagram. I'll probably post a picture of the book, so you can let me know on Instagram what your favorite passage of the book is, what your favorite tip is. Just let me know, and let me also know what new habits you're trying to implement and what bad habits you're trying to get rid of. Thanks for watching. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and I will see you in the next video.